All right, cool. We are recording on my end. You recording?
Yeah, ready to go.
Awesome. Let's get it. All right, go ahead. You want to introduce yourself? Kick it off.
Yeah, yeah, sure. What up, guys? This is Jay here. I have a channel, MMA Prophecies. I started about a month ago, and yeah, it's been blowing up. I appreciate all the support out there. I've been putting out, one or two videos on my own personal fight predictions, betting tips, analysis, and I started doing this because, I used to fight in the past a little bit. I've been training for like 4 to 6 years around there. Muay Thai, half that, and Jiu-Jitsu for most of that. So yeah, I think it's helped me, predict fights well. But I'm still kind of new to the, sports betting scene. But hopefully I could have some success, and hopefully we all can. So I know this guy is right here.
Yeah, man. So what's going on, guys? My name is Paul. I'm with PK MMA. Honestly, same situation. I made my page where this weekend's going to be 1 month, so I'm hoping to crush this weekend. I've been betting for a little over a year now, but MMA is really what got me into it, and I realized that was by far my most profitable sport. I kind of mess up myself when I bet on other sports because I tend to lose money more than make it. But when it comes to MMA, we're absolutely killing it. The page this past month, man, we're riding at about like 80% accuracy right now, so it's been awesome. But I got into the same reason you did, man. I had a lot of friends tell me we would be successful with this, and I just so appreciative of all the support over the past month, all the followers gained, everything like that. I wrestled for about 8 years when I was a kid, got into Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga for a couple years back and forth. So now, this is something on the side for me, but I'm really loving it, and all the followers are making it so worth it to really put in the work and put out these predictions. So, I've reached out to Jay, and we're about to break down some fights for you guys here. Hopefully, if you guys are staying tuned throughout the fight, we're going to give out some good betting predictions and go from there. We're going to kill it. So,
Hell yeah.
first fight on the card. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, we got Louis Kosuke versus Sasha Plotnikov. Man, this should be a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis, obviously a hard hitter here. This guy's finished all of his fights in the first round. He's fought some questionable competition, but at this point, they're obviously just trying to pad his record, show him off to the world at this, And I think it's going to be the same way with Sasha Plotnikov. He's a bit of a step up in competition, but honestly, I think it's just another padding on his record. I do think he's going to get the KO. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I gotta agree with you. First off, this is a bang to start the card off. I'm really excited for this fight. I already put out a free bet earlier this week. Luis Kosuke was part of that parlay that I put out, and I think the record of both guys is padded. Honestly, if you look at their competition, neither is that great. I think what really makes Luis Kosuke stand out in comparison to Sasha is A, he's undefeated. B, he's just been blowing through his competition, man. First round finishes left and right. He should really get it done here, in my opinion. He's not the biggest for his weight class, but man, he packs power. He's very well rounded. He got in here with his brother. Both of them were huge underdogs in the Dana White Contender Series, and they just blew their competition out of the water. Super easy finishes. Man, these guys are just styling. And Sasha, it's nothing against him. I don't think he's bad. I think he's a well-rounded fighter. He doesn't do anything bad per se, but Luis Kosuke, man, is just I think he's going to have a bright future. Him and his brother, honestly, I think they're going to remind everybody of like Nick Diaz-esque as time comes up. And I got Luis Kosuke all day here. I know the line is steep. A lot of people are going to be wary of that. I think he's a good parlay piece personally. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another first round finish. I would say the only thing that's questionable for me at this point is we haven't seen him outside the first round, so we don't necessarily know what his gas tank's going to look like. But against a guy who's not that great, I'm not that concerned. If you look at Sasha's record, also very padded. We see a couple of losses on there. He lost to Munir Lazzez, who that's not a bad loss in my opinion. We saw what he just did to Al Hassan. And I mean, he styled on him. I had Lazzez in that fight. That was 1 or 2 months ago. And I mean, Lazzez is a beast, but I just think Luis is at this point in time a level or two above Sasha. And I think he's going to do what he wants here. He's going to roll.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I just think the talent level is there's a pretty big gap in my opinion. The way they hold their guards up. Lewis is just way more. He's way more tight. He's way more.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. He just seems way more comfortable on the feet. Sasha's kind of all over the place. His hands are out. Like that doesn't really keep a high guard, especially with MMA gloves. I could really see a lot of punches getting through here. So yeah, I think a great parlay piece as well. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So if you guys looking for a betting opportunity, parlay, if you're looking at Kosei and you want to trend it, I mean, he has yet to see the second round. So maybe look at a first round.
Yeah.
I don't have the betting lines in front of me. I'm not going to focus on that so much tonight as we are predictions and breakdowns. But, Kosei is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the easiest pick of the night right there.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got Kyle Dawkins versus Dustin Stoltzfus. Y'all saw Kyle Dawkins, a fight against Brendan Allen. Crazy fight, just
It's a
back
good
and forth.
fight.
But honestly, I thought he did really look impressive in that fight. Even though he lost, he did get dropped a couple times. But to me, he showed tremendous heart just to keep going forward. Showed some pretty good hands. Really, really technical. Just lets it go. You don't see too much power, but you see like just really sharp striking, which pops Brendan Allen's head back. And you saw some really good level changes, some really good jiu-jitsu as well. He hung in there with Brendan. Brendan did get the best of him, but you know, Kyle definitely had his moments in that fight.
Yeah,
And
man. Just speaking of Kyle, real quick, he had Brendan Allen's back for the majority of the third round. That was really impressive, honestly. And I think there's going to be some recency bias. I think recency bias is a really big thing, especially when it comes to betting lines in MMA. Hence the heavy favorites and heavy underdogs. But I think he looked great. And people are like, "Oh, well, how good is really Brendan Allen? He just lost to Sean Strickland." I think the better question is how good is Sean Strickland, man. He comes back, he looks like $1,000,000. I had Strickland all day last weekend. I think Brendan Allen's a great fighter, though. I think his future's still bright. I just think he's young. He had a loss coming his way. He was undefeated in the UFC heading into that, man. I think Strickland was in there with the best of them. He's hung with Usman and guys like that. So loss to Brendan Allen is your first loss. I think he's going to bounce back. He's going to be hungry. His older brother, Chris Dawkins, they heavyweight taking that division by storm. And these guys train together. He's a black belt. And I think something we haven't seen from these guys yet is they're striking. Honestly, I think he's going to come out. He's going to style. He's going to be good. And Dustin Stoltzfus, he's decent too. He had a decent Contender Series win. I think the stoppage was had some of us a little questionable. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you haven't seen his most recent fight, go watch his Contender Series
that
fight.
thing was crazy.
Brutal, man. He drops the guy and the guy's arm.
Brutal.
It just breaks just horribly. So this he's a good prospect coming out of Germany. I think this fight might be a little closer than the line suggests. I think Dustin, he's good. He's a purple belt, I believe. Kyle, I think just got his black belt, maybe that if he's still a brown belt. I think Kyle should get it done here. I think he can hold his own on the feet. I think we're going to see a really good second comeback fight from him. And this is going to pull some redemption, I do think. But I think it's going to be a competitive fight, honestly. I think it might be closer than the line suggests. What do you think about Dustin?
Yeah, this dude's strong. You don't pick up a guy and chuck him on the ground and just break his arm if you're not strong. So he obviously has a really good base. I hear he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. He is pretty awkward on the feet, but he has some pretty strong kicks. I could really see at the beginning of the fight him throwing a ton of those kicks. Kyle really trying to get in, but eating some shots on the way in. But I think stylistically, this is going to favor Kyle pretty greatly because of the boxing, his height. He's 6'3" and he's fighting someone 5'11". Yeah, the reach is similar, but
you got to punch up. You got to punch up. So even if the reach is similar, yeah.
The kicks are going to be in his favor, even though he doesn't kick that much. Plus he's going to be having Dustin backing against the fence. Yeah. That's even better for him because he can use his wrestling to level change and really show off his jiu-jitsu. So I really think the stylistic matchup is going to favor Kyle, but Dustin is going to put up a fight. But I'm pretty confident that Kyle's going to win this one.
This is a small octagon too, still, right? We're still in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I think that too. I think that's going to favor Kyle as well. Dustin actually has pretty decent wrestling, but is he going to use it for this fight? Kyle's a beast on the ground. So I think the only way Dustin's going to have the advantage on the ground is if he's in top and has Kyle in guard, which I just don't see happening, man. I think eventually Kyle's going to get this fight to the ground and he's going to style. And if he doesn't on the feet, it's still going to be very competitive. Like you're saying, I think he's going to land higher output as well. He's a very calm, collected guy. Like you're saying, he's pretty big. So yeah, I'm going to take Kyle Dawkins in this fight as well.
Yeah, and I think, well, I've seen Dustin get pretty tired throughout the fight, especially after the first round. And you don't see that with Kyle. He just keeps going and going and going.
Machine.
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, definitely got Kyle in this one. And plus, if Dustin Gut does take down Kyle, I mean, Kyle's a 6'3" black belt, dude. Like,
Man, he's a big boy.
I
Plus,
mean,
he's got some good sweeps from the bottom and stuff. He's slick, man. I feel like this goes to the ground. That's just a mistake on Dustin's part.
yeah, you do not want to be going with a 6'3" black belt who's really
Yeah.
talented like Kyle. That's just, I kind of asking for it. So, yeah, definitely giving the advantage to Kyle here. I have him in a parlay piece as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. My official bets are going to be coming out later tonight. I'll send it out to my guys, but Kyle's a good look, I think.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next up we got Alan Juban versus Jared Gooden. I think this is gonna be close. Alan
Yeah,
has showed definitely some not so good fights in his recent, outing versus Dwight Grant. I mean, he looked great versus Ben Saunders, but Ben Saunders is, on his way out, obviously.
yeah,
Had a lot of trouble with Nico Price, just that pressure. So, you see him I mean, talented, tall, he has some good Muay Thai, but he doesn't like to get hit, and I think that's
yeah,
a major issue with him. And he is facing someone that I think does hit pretty hard in Jared Gooden.
yeah.
Not he's not he hasn't proven himself yet, but he's got some decent wins. He's finishing most of his fights, so and he's going to be the bigger guy. And you got to think that the smaller cage is going to favor him. And I think Jared Gooden, if there's an underdog to pick, in my opinion, I think Jared Gooden might be it in this one. What do you
Yeah,
think?
man. Yeah, I gotta say. So this one's interesting to me. The line opened. I think it was pretty wide for the other way around. Jared Gooden was a pretty big dog. I think the line's actually pretty close to a pick 'em right now, and it's an interesting fight because you know what. Sorry, Q. What's Gooden is Gooden versus Alan Juban. Alan is you know what he does outside the UFC? He's a model. And
Right.
so you got to wonder why he doesn't like getting hit in the face. That's his real moneymaker. And
True.
yeah. So that's what he does, man. Listen, he's decent. I think technically, honestly, I will give the edge to Joban. But like you're saying, Gooden, man, he hits hard. And most of the time, I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna take this guy because I think he's gonna get the knockout. I think with some of the recency bias for some of these judges and stuff, man, that small cage, they're gonna see those hits. I think it's just going to favor his style, man. I think this is going to be a banger. I think it's going to stay standing, and I do think it's a close fight. I think if you're lining it as a close fight, go with the dog. I don't chase dogs. I chase the guys that I think is going to win. But in situations like this, you're right. He's a little unproven, but that's the thing. He's going to really, really want to go out there and prove himself against the guy who this would be a good one on his record. And Alan Joban is probably at the worst he's looked in his career right now. So if Jared Gooden could go out and get this win, that'll be huge for his career, and I think he's going to be motivated. And dude, I saw this guy weigh-ins. He's a freak, man. He's built. He's a big guy.
He
So
looked pretty big, right? He looked
yeah,
definitely bigger than Juban.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'm excited for this fight. This whole card, top to bottom, I think is great. But this is a good one. Maybe I wouldn't be betting this as a parlay piece, anything like that. Maybe a live dog pick, something like that. I think it should be a good scrap.
Yeah, definitely. I know another one of our buddies was saying that, you could bet this live. If it goes after the first round, you could, bet on Allen because he most likely have the advantage after the first round if he doesn't get knocked out. Because Jared does tend to get tired, after that first round. So
Yeah.
yeah, be aware of that one.
Definitely. I think, I talk about hedging with my followers a lot, and I think there's very good times when you can hedge and you can still make a profit on a fight. And that's a really good example of it. You're right. Because Gooden, his best chance, yeah, if you're being realistic, is probably round one. So if you're going to take him by knockout, take him in the first round. That's probably the way to go. Joban, you could either take maybe live before the fight starts by decision. I'm sure the odds are pretty nice on that. And if not, like you're saying, just live bet him after that first round, see where the line's at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I still give Allen the slight edge to win, but
Yeah.
I think Jared definitely has a good chance in this one, honestly.
Live dog for sure.
Yeah. All right, next up we got Nicholas Dalby versus Daniel
It's a
Rodriguez.
banger.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be
Yeah.
really good. We got Nicholas Dalby, the Locomotivo. This guy likes to come out hard. Really gets in your face, uses his, kickboxing, just stays in there, mixes it up sometimes with some takedowns. And, just very athletic guy. A lot of people were high on him for a while, but did have a pretty bad fight versus Jesse Ronson. I think he got knocked out, right?
Yeah, man, that was it was what was it? Why was it overturned? I don't remember exactly. It was bad though. He got finished
Because
pretty
Jesse
quickly. It was
Ronson was doing marijuana or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was with the marijuana. And if you know about Nicholas Dalby, he was cut from the UFC actually. So he used to be a part of the UFC. He was cut. He took a couple fights in the regional scene. He did really good. And then he came back. He had his you can see there, he had a couple wins after a couple losses. He was cut. He fought Alex Oliveira in his return fight, comeback fight. Alex Oliveira he's good competition, especially probably back when they fought a year ago. Alex Oliveira, he's a good gauge of if you're going to be able to make it in the UFC or not. And that was his biggest win to date for sure. And he looked good, but you got to remember, man, he was cut in the first place. He's back, he's good, but like you're saying, he's a brawler, man. He is good against guys that'll embrace the brawl. And if you're talking about Alex Oliveira, right, that is a dude that's going to brawl with you. Yeah. Daniel Rodriguez, man, is not that guy. Daniel Rodriguez might not be the most technical guy out there, but he hits hard, man. He is a truck. This guy is an absolute beast. I love him, hasn't fought the highest level of competition yet, but dude, this guy is a prospect. He beat Dwight Grant. That was a great pickup. Had a competitive fight against Gabe Green. Tim Means, who's fighting later on the card tonight, he took him out very easily with a 6 standing guillotine choke. How are you feeling about this fight?
I mean, I just don't see how Nicholas Dalby can win, honestly.
Yeah. So
I think D-Rod has all the tools to pick apart Nicholas, and I think it's his fight to lose. He's just much more technical on the feet. I don't see how Nicholas can offer him anything to really, give Daniel Rodriguez any sort of problems on the feet. And D-Rod has actually really good, takedown defense and decent wrestling himself.
He does.
He's just a really strong dude, and he likes to go to that boxing. His boxing is looking
sharp, man. Really sharp.
Very good.
For sure. I think, I think this is going to be a banger. I think he's going to be able to stuff those takedowns from Dalby. Honestly, see, this is the thing. As a dog, I'm like, well, how could Dalby win this? And man, I just don't see very many paths to victory. He's probably going to have to get it to the ground, take down Rodriguez, hold him there. But Rodriguez got good hips, man, good wrestling. He stays out of those takedowns well. And I normally favor the wrestler, the grappler in a fight, but good counter wrestling is also its own category, I feel like. And I think Rodriguez is going to have good counter wrestling here. I think his striking is ahead of Dalby's, man. I think it's going to be a banger of a fight for sure. I probably wouldn't bet any overs, unders, anything like that. I think this fight has the potential to go to a decision where these guys just have a 15-minute war, or it could end inside the distance, like a flash knockout for sure. Especially with Dalby, he's been chin tested. He could get knocked out. I think Rodriguez could pull a finish if anything. But yeah, man, I got to agree with you. I'm rolling with Rodriguez as well in this one.
Yeah, I mean, when guys have a certain style, they usually don't change that for anyone. And I don't think Nicholas is going to change that style or really bring anything new to the table in this fight. And I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to have so many open counters to be able to, land his shots. And I don't think Dalby's going to like that very much. Yeah. I personally have D-Rod finishing this one, I think.
I agree. Like you said, man, stylistically, it just favors him.
Yeah. So he's in one of my parlays as well.
I will have a parlay with Rodriguez as well. I like, we said Kosu so far, great parlay piece. Rodriguez, great parlay piece. We'll keep moving out there. Can't drop all my bets for you guys, but, I think giving out predictions, things like that. Some of these later fights, I really love some over-unders on, so we'll talk about that. But, what do we got next?
Antonina Shevchenko versus Ariane Lipski. This is another interesting fight.
Yeah.
Two pretty unpredictable flyweights in the women's division. Ariane Lipski, Queen of Violence. She definitely has some issues with wrestling, but when she comes out hard.
Yeah.
And you saw that versus Luana Carolina, Isabella Tabugia. Isabella is actually not bad. She put on a hurting versus Gloria DePaula, who just won the Dana White Contender Series, and she did pretty good. I mean, had some good wrestling, but she got hurt pretty bad versus Ariane, and Ariane had that whole fight in the bag the whole time. She just looked much stronger.
How about that knee bar against Luana Carolina too?
That was a great knee bar. That thing was
Very good.
nasty. You can see that,
Yeah.
go inside out.
Yeah, that was nuts. Some of these girls, man, their flexibility amazes me.
Yeah, but you also saw some, pretty bad losses for Molly
For
McMahon, who's
sure.
also really tough, 11-4. But some pretty good boxing. She's from
Yeah.
the UK, and
Mhm.
really heavy hands. She really put it on Ariane, and
Yeah.
Ariane just didn't look good that whole fight. She looked hurt,
Yeah.
looked a step behind, looked pretty slow, and as well as the cardio. She's really showed that if she goes past that first round and doesn't knock out her opponent, she tends to really slow down a lot. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm kind of afraid of versus Antonina Shevchenko, who's very technical, ex-world championship kickboxer. Obviously has not a complete MMA fighter. I don't know if she ever will be,
Yeah.
but this is definitely, if this goes past the first round, it's definitely in Antonina's realm here. I just think she's going to have way more weapons, better overall cardio to finish, to take this to a decision win, if Ariane doesn't finish this in the first round. Honestly, I don't know if she can.
Yeah, man, I think you brought up a lot of interesting points there. And some fights, it all comes down to like their previous fights, things like that. Other fights, there's a lot of extracurriculars and outside sources, I think, that play into them. And this is one of those fights. Talk about Antonina Shevchenko for a sec, right? I think we can both agree it's been pretty underwhelming. I remember the hype when she was coming in. Her sister. Obviously the world renowned, one of the probably arguably the greatest woman fighter of all time on the co-main event tonight. And Antonina, unfortunately, I think has been a letdown, as we kind of saw as soon as her wrestling was exposed. Man, every girl just took that blueprint and has just been exposing it back to back. And she's got really good Muay Thai, though. Go back, watch her Muay Thai records, things like that. I think this fight is interesting. I think the UFC is trying to toss her a bone here. She's on a fight with her sister, and in terms of tailor-made stylistic matchups, you gotta give your opponent something, right? And her opponent is she's a heavy hitter, right? She's a strong striker, like you're saying. She sends the gas out after the first round, though. Antonina Shevchenko is used in her Muay Thai fights to fighting girls that are, strong hitters, very technical Muay Thai girls. Ariana Lipsky is good. She's a heavy hitter, like you're saying. But, man, if this fight stays standing, I feel like it's going to. I feel like it's going to favor Antonina. And I do think it's going to go to the judge's decision as well. And if it does, I just think her output's going to be much higher. She hasn't gotten many chances to really stay on her feet. She's been fighting submissions, fighting takedowns her last couple of fights. I think the UFC is really trying to give her like a rebound fight here or something. Plus, like I said, she's been in camp with her sister for this. 2 Shevchenkos on the same card, man. You know how biased the judges have been in some of these fights the last couple of weeks. It's been ridiculous. I think if it goes to the scorecard, man, anybody who bets Lipsky is really going to be sweating.
Yeah, yeah. I would not gamble on Ariane. I mean, just too many red flags. You know, I mean, she can do it. She showed
Yeah.
she can,
Yeah.
but she's never faced a kickbox like Antonina. And I mean, these two girls she fought were not anywhere near the kickbox Antonina is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
see a lot of people saying Ariana is a live dog, and maybe, but do you really think she's going to finish Antonina by knockout? Maybe if she gets a submission, if she pulls off a knee bar, maybe. But like, I don't see her knocking out Antonina. If it goes to decision, I see it Antonina all night. Many of these female, especially flyweight fights, really do tend to go that way. So that breaks it down. Like, is Ariana going to try and wrestle? Well, her wrestling is much lower than some of the competition that Antonina's lost to in that department. And I feel like Antonina might have closed that hole a little bit, maybe closed that gap this fight camp. I see this one staying standing, and if it does stay standing, I gotta lean Shevchenko here. Maybe not my most confident pick of the night, but that's probably the way that I'm
yeah, a low confidence pick for me too. I mean, yeah, Ariane, I think she can wrestle. That would be the smart thing to do, honestly, in my opinion. But I just think she has so much to prove on the feet. I think she looks pretty hard-headed. She always tries to keep on the feet. And I think Antonina can easily just hold off that storm and take it later. So yeah, I do have her by decision as well.
leaning. Yeah, and by decision, I'd be curious to see the odds on that. I'm sure it's plus money. That might be a good look. Throw out another look for you guys, for anybody watching this video. Jay's followers are mine. The over in this, I know it's going to be steep, but if you're talking about a parlay piece, over 2.5 rounds in a fight like this, I see it going that way all day. Even if Ariane gets on top on the ground, I don't think she poses that much of a submission threat to Antonina. I don't see her pulling off like a crazy knee bar like that again. And Antonina's not really a crazy knockout artist or anything. She's going to touch Ariane up. She's going to try and keep distance. Everybody kind of knows that's what's coming. So if you're looking for a parlay piece, I'd say, maybe that over is worth a look.
Yeah, and both these girls are probably still blue belts, honestly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, 2 blue belts, on the ground, you're not going to see a ton of submissions, especially out of these girls. So, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
All right, the next fight is going to be Joaquin Buckley versus Jordan Wright.
Man, can we start this fight? Talk about Joaquin Buckley's most recent victory.
Oh my God. He fought against Impa Casagne, and it was a good back and forth fight. Buckley was showing some pretty good boxing, leg kicks. Impa continuously caught that kick over and over and over again throughout that whole fight, and eventually Buckley was able to throw again. Impa caught it, but held on it for way too long. And then he was just able to throw the spinning back kick right on the money.
Jump spinning back kick. Insane.
Impa went out cold. That was some Raymond Daniels shit right there. So
if you guys haven't seen that fight, man, go back and watch it. That is easily one of my top 5 knockouts, and probably anybody's top 5 knockouts of all time, man. That's just some movie shit like you're talking about, something out of Mortal Kombat or something.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, that thing went viral.
Yeah.
But he's fighting Jordan Wright, Beverly Hills Ninja, who's finished, I'd say, almost all of his fights. Pretty big dude, 6'2", likes to go hard, karate style. Really kind of, it's kind of awkward fighting him because he has that weird karate style. He kind of intertwines his legs, which I think is pretty bad for MMA personally, because people can easily, go shooting for the double leg and your legs are there for the taking. But he's been getting away with his style, against, the first seven guys he fought had.
Well, all right. So let's rattle off some of the. Scroll down to the bottom real quick. So let's see some of these wins. The records of the guy he's fought, man. 0-0, 0-0, 0-5, 0-0, 0-21, 0-10, 0-0, 1-2. Guys, look at the level of competition this guy's fought. He's got a padded record. And listen, I think there's a lot to consider here. I think recency bias is the line on Buckley is probably a little too high. But name one real guy that Jordan Wright has fought. He's huge, don't get me wrong. He's an athletic specimen. But he has not fought a single legit contender, in my opinion, yet.
Yeah, Anthony Hernandez was his most legit, and he got rocked.
Anthony Hernandez knocked him the F out. And why was that fight overturned? For marijuana. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. All right, man. Anthony Hernandez, if you guys know who that is, he is, in my opinion, I'm sorry, one of the worst UFC fighters out there. And he knocked him out in 40-something seconds. Jordan Wright got blessed that it got overturned to a no contest because it was a bad drug test. Why? For cannabis. Insane.
It's just a stupid rule.
Insane. Absolutely. 100% agree. You're right, though. He's big. He's an athletic guy. When I saw Joaquin Buckley on the scale tonight, I was like, holy shit, like this guy looks huge. Dude, he's got like tits. But going again, but then when he stood against Jordan Wright, man, you really see Jordan Wright's a big guy too. He's big. He's tough in the division. I think there's a lot to consider here, but I definitely think there's recency bias for Joaquin Buckley after that viral KO. Maybe the line should be a little closer, man. But again, who has Jordan Wright fought?
I think stylistically, this is gonna favor Buckley because I don't think he's gonna be afraid of Jordan's karate style punches and kicks. He's just gonna keep a tight guard. He's gonna walk him down, and plus, I think the size of the cage is definitely gonna help him as well because he's gonna be in the center. And we've seen that Jordan doesn't like being on being the nail.
Yeah.
And so I think this is gonna really test Jordan to see if he can handle, real MMA, UFC caliber fighters in a small ring. I think I wouldn't bet on that, but yeah, I'm definitely going with Joaquin here. But the size and the reach. The size does bother me a little bit. I just don't think it's enough for me to lean towards favoring Jordan at all.
Yeah, in a close competitive fight, I take size and reach very seriously, especially in some. There's a pretty big discrepancy here, but man, like you said, with these karate style fighters, they like to lead the dance, and when they can do that, they can put in some impressive work. Best example of that in UFC is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But the problem is when you start pressuring these guys and they can't get off those quick karate style moves, those quick kicks like you're talking about. He crosses legs, things like that. It just gets tough for him, man. I think stylistically, you're going to see him fall apart. I think Joaquin Buckley is going to get this done inside the distance.
Yeah, I mean, trying to use that karate in a small cage and I think he's going to leave himself open. And I could see Joaquin TKOing this guy. So, yeah.
One last thing one more thing I'd like to say that Joaquin Buckley, there's some rumors out there, and it's been almost confirmed. There's some interviews with James Krause and things like that. I always like to dig into these things, guys. I always look for interviews, any external factors, anything like that. Joaquin Buckley doesn't play too nice with his teammates. He actually hops around gyms a lot. He's been turned down from a lot of gyms because when he comes in there, he really doesn't want to learn. He wants to spar. He wants to spar super, super hard. That's not a lot of gym styles. A lot of gym styles really want you to focus on learning, things like that. And might be something to consider if you're thinking of, going all in on Joaquin Buckley because of his most recent viral KO. There you guys can see some of the highlights. It's absolutely insane. Something to consider, man. I think there are better spots on this card. I think Joaquin Buckley gets it done. Maybe throw him in a small parlay, something like that. Maybe take him inside the distance. But it should be an interesting fight for sure.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely some risk there with Joaquin. I could see that as well.
He's still and his fight before that, right? If you guys saw it against Kevin Holland, nobody remembers what happened against Kevin Holland. That was only a couple months ago, man. Kevin Holland styled on him, dude.
Yeah, he couldn't get in there. He just couldn't get close.
Yeah, and Joaquin Buckley had a good game plan too. He did what a lot of guys won't do to Kevin Holland, try and corner him, back him down, try and really take the fight to him. And Holland wasn't having it, man. He dropped him. I think it was like 3 or 4 times, dude. Holland was just styling.
Yeah, I mean, and the way Joaquin, leaned in, always put his head down, trying to come up with those hooks. Kevin just landed knees, elbows, and wrecked him pretty good. So
there's levels. I don't know that Jordan Wright is on this level, but there's definitely levels.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
All right, the next one. Oh my God, this is gonna be maybe one of my favorite.
It's my fight of the night. I'm gonna say it right now. This is gonna be my fight of the night. Very excited for this.
Oh man, Brandon, the assassin baby Moreno versus Brandon, the raw dog Roy.
Battle of the Brandons, man.
Oh man, this is gonna be a sick one, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we got assassin baby proving himself in the UFC in these last 3 victories.
Man, didn't he get cut too?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he took some time. He got cut, man, and he's come back. Like you're saying, he's looked incredible since he came back.
Looks like he lost versus Alexander Pantoja, and then he didn't fight since. Yeah, he didn't fight in the UFC for a while now.
Okay, there was a gap. There was some time in between, something like that. You see the gap somewhere, I think, and then he came back. He had that loss to Sergio Pettis. But go ahead.
Yeah, he fought in the LFA combat jiu-jitsu, and then UFC picked him up. Had a split decision versus Askar Askarov, but looked like amazing versus Kai Kara France. Looked amazing versus Jussier Formaga. And you see a lot of guys who they tend to get tired throughout the fight, but Brandon, Moreno was just getting stronger and stronger throughout the fight.
Dude, against Formiga, he was feeling himself.
I mean, he was in there to battle.
Yeah.
He wasn't backing down. He was in his space. He was so confident. He was figuring out Formiga as every second passed. He was getting stronger. His strikes were getting better. I mean, this guy's getting better in every single way in every fight, and it's pretty amazing. He's only 26 years old.
Super young. He's actually younger than Roy Vall, which is crazy, man. Because this guy's record. Talk about competition, dude. Jussier Formiga is an animal, man. He really is. And Brandon Moreno, when I saw that fight, I had Formiga. I had a bad read on that fight, man. That was before I made my MMA page, man. Yo, Moreno styled on him. He looked the best he's ever been. Man, he was smiling. I think what impressed me the most about him is those transitions in those sticky situations, man. Like you're talking about, he has cardio for days. This is going to be a banger of a fight. What do you think about Roy Vall?
Oh, super impressive. Super impressive. This is why we're so excited. I mean, he has that Tony Ferguson in your face, stand tall, hit me if you want, but I'm coming back at you.
Yeah.
I'm stronger than you. I'm gonna make you crumble under pressure eventually. I don't care if you hit me. And he did that versus Kai Kara France,
That was
Tim
insane. That was
Elliott.
an insane fight.
Insane fight. I mean, he
Yeah.
got rocked so bad. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you could say he got rocked, but he got dropped so bad. Kai Kara landed an overhit right in the chin.
And then he
But
landed the reverse. What was it? It was a reverse elbow or like
spinning back elbow, man.
yeah, that insane. Absolutely crazy.
I mean, what's crazy is it looks like he trains that, or he gets used to that because he did that versus I think he was someone else in another fight, Casey Kenny. He did that versus Casey
Yeah.
Kenny. I think he cut Casey Kenny too on the
Yeah.
head, and that's just an insane thing to, I mean, practice and do in your fight. I mean, you have to get dropped in order for you to get good at that.
Yeah, man. And we all know Casey Kenny there's no shame in losing to him nowadays, man.
Oh,
he's gonna be top 10 soon. I think all of these guys right now are top 10. This is, man, talk about underrated divisions. Most guys don't like these smaller guys fighting. The flyweight division is stacked right now, man. It is very stacked. This is a great fight. I'm so excited for this one, and I could see arguments for either side of this fight, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest test is going to be, can Moreno hold off the onslaught and this crazy locomotive coming at him, who hasn't been really stopped yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like Casey Kenny, but on the other hand, can Brandon Royval stand up and beat, have a technical fight with Brandon Moreno, who's just a really good technical boxer.
Yeah.
And so that's just going to be the question. But so it's going to be a matter of heart and will versus pretty much technique, in my opinion. I think Brandon is a little bit better in terms of the wrestling. I think he's much better in the wrestling. Definitely better on the feet. But Brandon Royval just has that
X factor, man. It's the X factor.
Definitely has an X factor that can change anything. So it should be interesting. I personally have Moreno winning this fight because of the edge he has in the striking department and the wrestling. I think he'll be able to, defend Royval's submission attempts. I think Brandon Moreno's smart enough. I think he's proven that he can beat, guys like Royval. They're going to go crazy on him. But I mean, it should be interesting.
So I'm gonna break this down from either side. I think there's ups and downs to each. Moreno, man, since he has come back to the UFC, he has been on a heater. Really been killing it. His wrestling's great. His transitions are great. That boxing, man, has come a long way. His boxing, I wasn't very impressed with his striking in the early days. It looks good recently. I think he's just so well-rounded. He's one of these flyweights that can do it anywhere. And Royval, I mean, dude, we've seen this guy is fight of the night every time, insane finishes, things like that. Very dynamic, explosive striking. I wouldn't necessarily call it the most technical. I think some of it's very flashy. When he lands stuff like that spinning elbow, looks amazing. He's a threat on the ground too, though, man. He's got slick submissions, and we saw that against Kai Kara France. What I do think, though, I think Kai Kara France was riding a little bit too much hype going into that fight. I had Royval as a 2-1 underdog against Kai Kara France, and man, that just don't get me wrong. I was sweating for a second when Kai was dropping him and stuff. Kai is really not that big. I think Royval had a very big size advantage in that. He had so much hype. You could see as soon as Royval wasn't backing away from Kai and Kai couldn't really do what he wanted, I feel like Kai kind of crumbled under that pressure. And Kai Kara France is no joke either, man. He's out of City Kickboxing, which is the gym of the year, man. You got Israel Adesanya, you got Kai Kara France, you got Brad Tavares, insane fighter, absolutely insane. All these guys coming out from there, and Royval looked good. He got a very slick submission. I have a hot take for this fight, though. I think either way you bet this is justifiable. I think if you take Royval as a dog, if you can get him a juicy enough money, I can totally see it. If you take Moreno, probably by decision is going to be the way to go. Maybe there's a parlay piece. I think I like the over in this fight, and I know that sounds crazy to say, but these guys are both so high level. I don't think Royval has fought a guy like Moreno yet. I could very easily see this going to the scorecards, right? Because he just fought a guy like Formiga, who's very similar to Royval. A lot of finishes, very dangerous. And Moreno fought through the best things that Hussier Formiga had to throw at him. And I guarantee you get a good line if you take the over in this fight. And I got to say, I might be considering that tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. I think the over is the way to go. I think Brandon Royval does get hit but I think he's just he has a really good chin. I
He
mean, he's
does, man. Like you're saying, man, Tony Ferguson, right? You see Tony Ferguson get hit with some of these crazy, crazy punches. He's like a zombie. Rival, same thing, man. He got hit with that hook from Kai Kara France, and he just dished it right back, man. And I think Moreno's going to be smarter than that, though. I don't think Moreno's going to sit there and trade with them. I think he's going to try and pick him off, use that boxing, use those transitions, that wrestling, and make it a grindy fight. So, yeah, I think official pick, I have to agree with you, probably Moreno. But, man, Royval, if you're talking live dogs for this fight and you're hunting for a dog, somebody that's going to fight for your money, man, it's going to be Royval.
Totally. You know, he's not gonna he's not gonna not give it all. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But man,
Great
look forward
fight.
to that one, you guys. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
sick one. All right, and then our next fight, Mauricio Hua versus Paul Craig. I think a lot of people kind of have the same feeling in this one. You know, Hua's just not looking good, man. Just looking slow, sluggish.
So he just fought Lil Nog, right? And Lil Nog is 45 years old. And you know what? I bet Mauricio Hua, and I was sweating that fight. I thought he was going to come in there. Man, I thought it was going to be an easy win. I was sweating. I had him in a parlay with who was it that night? Was it Whitaker versus somebody? Was that Whitaker versus Adesanya? Or was it Whitaker versus someone else?
Let me see. UFC Fight Night. Yeah, Whitaker versus Till.
Okay, and I had Whitaker that night, and I was like, I'm going to parlay him with Shogun. I was like, I'm going to get a co-main main event parlay. Man, I was sweating. Lil Nog is 45 years old. He had no business being in there. And you know what? Shogun looked awful, man. Shogun has had terrible knees from very, very early in the day. He's going to go for like the wrestling and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people are going to see that draw. It was a year ago with Paul Craig. They're going to look at it. They're going to be like, oh, Shogun's a big dog now. It should be an even fight. But, man, I can't see Paul Craig. The one thing I have to say about Paul Craig, his ring IQ is his worst enemy sometimes.
That was bad.
Other than that, he's got some very poor ring IQ. Sometimes he'll sit and guard for 3-4 minutes, play his guard. And look, he's good on the ground. But, man, he's just got to just take it to Shogun. Don't empty out his gas tank in one round like he did last time. He looked great at weigh-ins. I don't know if you saw that, man. Shogun looked like absolute garbage. Paul Craig looked good. I'm sorry. Shogun is a legend. Don't get me wrong. But, like, he is past his prime, man. He has no business being in there anymore. I think Paul Craig's the way to go here. I can't see Shogun getting it done.
Yeah, I think the obvious pick is Paul Craig. If he just needs to be a little bit smart and just not play dumb, but
the ring IQ, man, that's the only thing that worries me.
And that's the thing with these fighters. Like, can you count on him to not do that again? Honestly, it's like you don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously he is the pick here. Nothing I'd really touch. Maybe I'd put him in like a Hail Mary parlay.
Something like that. Maybe like by submission or something along those lines. Guys, don't go hard on this fight. I feel like this is going to end up being really sloppy. Like theoretically, in my mind, I'm like Paul Craig all day, but then you just see his ring IQ sometimes, man. And this is the guy that you will bet on and you will scream at the TV screen because he has every tool to beat his opponent. And he does the one thing that like his opponent's good at, plays guard, just loses on points, dumb stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think it'll be a fun fight. I'm looking forward to watching it. Maybe just sit back, have a drink, and just watch the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those just I mean, too many red flags from Paul Craig to put any sort of money on him. And
Yeah.
But just once to laugh at and kind of look at the spectacles and the shit that's gonna happen. Should be good enough for you guys.
He's a fun fighter though. It'll be a good fight for everybody.
Yeah, I mean he's improved. His strike is improving, obviously. His power is improving. He's looking pretty good overall. So definitely much better than Hua. But the next one we got Caitlin Chukagian versus Cynthia Calvillo. I think this is going to be a really good fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be really back and forth. I think it's really evenly matched.
To start, man, I think the line is way off in this fight. I think Calvillo is like, I don't know what the odds are at exactly right now. I'll look them up. But, man, Calvillo opened as a heavy favorite. And there's a pretty big size discrepancy between these girls.
There is. I saw that during weigh-ins. Chukagian's 5'9". Cynthia's 5'4". So yeah, I could see that. I could see she having a problem with that weird in and out. It's all that bullshit Muay Thai that Caitlin does.
For
But
sure. Oh, dude, I hate the judges play into that. She's not landing anything. She's sitting there. She's throwing her jab. She's this far away from her opponent when she's throwing the jab, but she makes the noise. The opponents put it down as a significant strike, even though it's nowhere hitting the opponent. Now, listen, I like Cynthia Calvillo. She had problems making weight at 115. She moved up. She is a minus 270 favorite. That's insane to bet on any women's fight unless it's Valentina Shevchenko or Amanda Nunes. Like, man, minus 270 against Caitlin Chookagian. I don't see that. Minus 270, that's like an implied probability of winning of like, I think it's like 80%, man. This is going to be a close fight. I'm telling everybody right now, it's going to come down to who implements their game plan.
yeah, I mean, it is going to be close, especially because of the size difference. If it wasn't such a size difference, I would definitely give Cynthia the edge. I still think she has a slight edge because I still think she's more of a technical boxer.
Yeah.
She's definitely better on the feet, and she might even be a better wrestler than Caitlin. I mean, Caitlin just started wrestling.
Oh, dude, Calvillo's wrestling is underrated in my opinion. I think she's got great wrestling.
Yeah, I think the only thing is maybe Caitlin can outwork her in the later rounds just with the output.
Yeah.
And bring us to a controversial decision. But
and that's the thing. I think it's going to come down to a controversial decision. And if you're going to
can.
flip a coin, do you want the coin at minus 270 or plus 210?
Yeah.
Guys, do not put Calvillo in a parlay piece, anything like that. Listen, take the over in this fight. Take my advice, take the over. It is a lock. It's going to be steep. It's going to be almost as steep as if you're betting Calvillo straight up. But here's the thing. Chookagian is not getting a finish. Chookagian does not get finishes. Calvillo is not getting a finish. It's not going that way. Chookagian, everybody's seeing she just got knocked out by Andrade. But, man, Andrade is one of the best. She's out there. She's short, stocky, and just loves to bang. And she knocked her out, right? And that was that. So we're talking about recency bias. It's definitely there. Who do you got winning this fight?
I'm picking Cynthia. I think she's going to edge it out for a decision.
So if I'm going for my picks, my overall record on my page, right? Sure, Calvillo straight up, whatever. But listen, guys, just because I'm picking Calvillo, I am not betting Calvillo, right? Big difference. Do not take her at minus 270. Those odds are insane. It should never, ever get anything close to that. Trying to teach my followers about like betting responsibly. You can't just bet on every single fighter you think that's going to win, because if the upset does happen, you're going to feel like a fool if this goes to a grindy decision and it goes the way of Chookagian, because the judges tend to see it her way. Go to Chookagian's page real quick for me. Do me a favor. Take a look at this, guys. Scroll down to her fights. Look at all the split decisions that she has, right? So decision loss, decision split, decision unanimous, decision split. She has all these decisions going to splits, going one way or the other in the UFC. It comes down to very, very close fights with these girls. And Calvillo's good, but like if it's going to come down to one of these close fights, I don't want to be sweating with a minus 270 favorite. You can have D-Rod at those odds against Nick Dalby, and I think that's a much safer fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one little thing turns in this fight where maybe Cynthia takes her down, but maybe Caitlin reverses and then lands some weak-ass shot against the fence, and then all of a sudden she wins the round, right? You have no idea what's going to happen.
For sure.
So I agree, completely stay away from this line. But if you are going to take a dog, I think Caitlin would.
You want to take a dog shot, maybe. Don't go hard on it, guys. Maybe they're like a unit or something on Chookagian. Parlay her up with some other easy wins tonight. We're going to get to the title event later. That's obviously going to be easy. Coach earlier, Rodriguez. Throw a fun parlay together if you want. If you guys want to be out there, be degenerate gamblers, take her, throw her on there. You'll get some great odds. But don't bet heavy on this fight. Save your money.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, it should be interesting. I'm sure we'll learn a lot after this fight. Hopefully. On the next one, we got Mike Perry versus Tim Means. Mike Perry just had a really bad weigh-in. He missed weight by like 4 pounds. Showing shit on his Instagram where he's like eating burgers and showing off like eating donuts, and this is just a bad look, man.
Man, listen, when they announced this fight, I thought Mike Perry was going to be an easy win, especially at the odds. Seeing all the shit going on with him this week, it makes me so sad, man. You saw that weight cut. Did he miss weight? I could have swore he weighed in at 175 I don't
He
know if this
missed weight
is
by like 4 or 5 pounds or something like that.
so. That's very interesting, right? Because when you talk about weight cuts, there's two things to consider. Did the guy have a very bad weight cut, or did he just give up? The guys that give up cutting weight and they lose a percentage of their purse, if you look at the statistics, they tend to win very, very heavy, like the majority of the time. So those guys that are winning. The guys that have those very close weight cuts, they refuse to miss weight, but then they miss it by like a half pound. Those are the guys that are really drained come fight night and gas after that first round. Perry weighed in at 175, man. And Tim Means a big dude, something like that. I think Perry just said, F it. I'm just going to, go out there and fight. He doesn't really care about what's going to happen. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, we saw his most recent fight against Mickey Gall. I was not that impressed. He's out there. He's got his girlfriend, Latori, cornering him. He doesn't have a real gym lately, anything like that. He's like a nomad, man. And, it's an interesting fight. What do you think?
Man, just technically, Mike did not look good.
He
Honestly,
did.
before I started watching his fights again, I thought, oh, Mike Perry's he's really solid. He's really heavy-handed, good boxer. When I started watching his fights, I was like, holy shit, this guy just like
He
keeps his
is.
head in one fucking box and doesn't move it, and he just looks for the one punch knockout. And I mean, he's paid for it. I mean, Vicente lit him up. I mean, Jeff Neal knocked him out. Yeah, he beat Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall's not really a kickboxer in the first place, and Mickey Gall was lighting him up.
Man, Mickey Gall doesn't belong in the UFC, if I'm being honest. I don't think he does. He lost to Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez. Listen, man, when I think of Mike Perry, him versus Vicente Luque, I was like, this guy's legit. He lost that fight, right? He was a beast in that fight. It was a split decision. Vicente Luque is an animal, man. Vicente Luque is easily top 10 in that division. Very, very good fighter. Inside information for this Mike Perry fight. He's been training with Jacare Souza. He's really stepped up his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu a lot. And he said in interviews, he said, behind the scenes, he does plan on implementing some of that wrestling and jiu-jitsu. That's been a hole before. And man, he might not have an official training camp, but Jacare Souza is, if you're going to train with anybody for that wrestling submission game, he is one of the best to do it with. So I think there's a lot of different things you got to look at in this fight. That weight cut scares me. If we set that aside, if I knew he had a good weight cut, things like that, he was going into this fight, he was going in it confident. You kind of got to set the Mickey Gall fight aside. He looked like shit in the Mickey Gall fight. And you know what? I think he realized Mickey Gall wasn't that level of competition. I think he rolled off his couch. He's like, hey, babe, let's go. Took his girlfriend there. Want to look good for her. He had an easy paycheck. He showed up. He won, and that was it. What do you think about Tim Means?
I mean, his chin isn't, the best right now, but he's still very technical, and he's still
Very technical. Mm-hmm.
he's very, very technical boxer, much more technical than Mike. I think if Mike doesn't knock him out, obviously Tim Means is the favorite. And I think Tim, is still really tough. I honestly think he could. I honestly think he can maybe hold off, Mike Perry's big punches if he keeps his guard up and just plays smart. He's got a much bigger reach, in my opinion.
All right, let me throw some odds at you. Mike Perry open. He was almost I think he was almost a 2-1 favorite at some point this week. The odds are almost even now, right? Tim Means has come down even money. Mike Perry's minus 130. I think people are wising up.
Yeah, money poured into Tim Means after the weight cut. After they saw just what kind.
But here's the thing, though. Mike Perry is that type of dude to act like he's sick, act like he can't make weight, all this stuff, and then show up and just style on fight night because he just loves to troll people too, man. You see his back and forth. If you go on his Instagram, like Darren Till, those guys are hilarious. They should have like a comedy show together. So funny. Go check out their Instagram pages. But I don't know, man. This one's it's got me scratching my head a little bit. Earlier in the week, I thought Tim Means was a live dog at that plus money. If you could get him earlier in the week, you get him at plus 160, plus 170. I was like, might not be a bad look. At even money now, we'll see. If the line flip, if I get Perry as a dog, man, I'm going to take Perry as a dog, to be quite honest. That's the way that I'm going to go. That's the way.
I mean, there's so many questions to be answered in this fight. Does Tim Means have the chin to withstand Mike? Does what kind of physical and mental shape is Mike Perry in? I mean, you don't just. I mean, he looked really bad, man. He looked really bad, and I'm sure the basically having no fight camp or no real training has led to that. And if he keeps doing that, I just don't see how he could last in the UFC if he just keeps doing that. I mean, It's really bad, man. These guys are training, 5, 6 hours a day. Who knows what Mike Perry's doing?
Who do you think takes this fight, man?
I'm going with Tim Means on this one. I think he's
Ah,
a
yeah. All
more
right. All
technical
right.
fighter. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna edge out Perry here. I think the line is gonna flip too. I think Perry's gonna close as an underdog. Earlier in the week, if you
Probably.
told me this, I might have taken Means, man. I don't know, for a value bet, something like that. I just I do agree with you. I think Tim Means is technical. He's good. I guess part of me is rooting for that like scrappy dog and Mike Perry to show up and just make it a nasty dog fight, man. If he does that, I think he can edge it out. It'll be a close fight for sure. Means isn't going to knock out Perry or anything like that. Perry showed he's got a gas tank. He can go to decision, things like that. I want to see the old Perry. I want to see Perry as a dog. I just want to see him come out. But we will see. If my opinion changes for tomorrow, I'm going to post my picks prior to the fights. But we'll see going into it how it's going to be.
Yeah, should be a good one, guys. Don't miss out on that one.
It's going to be fun.
And
Cool.
the next one is going to be Valentina Shevchenko versus Jennifer Maia.
Co-main event. Let's go.
Yeah, obviously Valentina just looking dominant.
No, man. Obviously, we both got Jennifer Maia in this one. It's a lock, guys. Throw
Yeah,
your bankroll on Jennifer Maia.
all in, baby, all in. Well, I mean, Valentina just looking good everywhere, on the ground, on the feet, basically just not getting a scratch on her in any fight that she fights, and she just levels above everyone right now.
I think what's interesting, if you scroll down a little bit, take a look at the Amanda Nunes fights. The very first Amanda Nunes fight was a 3-round fight, and Amanda Nunes probably won the first 2 rounds, I would say. I would say she took the first 2, but then Valentina started styling on her in the third. That second fight, though, man, Valentina brought it to her. It was a 5-round fight. If you guys aren't on MMA Verdict, go download it. You can see the global scorecards. Everybody gave the first 2 to Nunes, and then Valentina took the last 3. Valentina, I really feel like, won that second fight, and everybody calls Amanda Nunes the GOAT. Pound for pound, I feel like Valentina is the greatest female fighter on the planet right now, because Nunes obviously has that size factor. She can easily fight at 145. Valentina is definitely a natural 125er. Yeah, man. Guys, you can't bet on Jennifer Maia here. I'm sorry. Listen, don't take Valentina at like minus 1,600 or something either. Do you have any hot takes for this fight?
I mean, I personally would, if you're gonna bet, I personally think Shevchenko is gonna knock out Jennifer Maia. I'm pretty confident in that.
Valentina inside the distance.
Yeah, I just don't think Jennifer Maia is near the level of striker that Shevchenko is, and Jennifer Maia is not the type of chick to really back down in a fight. I think she's gonna go for it, and I think she's gonna risk getting knocked out to try and win this fight. I don't think it's gonna go her way, and I don't think, especially with that, she has a really boxing style of frame and stance, and that's really hard.
That's not going to hold up against Valentina at all.
No, it's not, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help you get those takedowns either, because you have to reach so far down.
On the ground, she's slick, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Valentina can take her down, and I feel like Valentina on top still has nothing to worry about. The only thing I would be worried about is if Maia maybe got on top, but like, man, Valentina's ground game is slick nowadays. You saw her get the crucifix victory over, was that Chukagian? I think it might have been Chukagian. Yeah, man, that was really slick jiu-jitsu to set up that crucifix and get the win from that. Really, really good. That head kick against Jessica I should be Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is an absolute legend as well. I think this fight might go over. I think it might go a few rounds. I think maybe Valentina gets a little bit later finish. I think there's been a lot of finishes lately. I think she's due for maybe something closer of a decision. But, man, she's going to style on Maia.
Yeah. I
For
mean,
sure.
if you're gonna try and compare their strength levels, Maia lost to Caitlin in a unanimous decision.
Yeah. And MMA math isn't a thing, but like, you can put 2 and 2 here. Caitlin Chukagian is, that's she had that good win against Joanne Calderwood for sure, but like Joanne Calderwood's very, very one-dimensional in my opinion. She's a wrestler, and Jennifer Maia is great at jiu-jitsu, so it just played right into her game.
Yeah, I just don't see what Jennifer's going to be able to do. Yeah, Valentine all day.
Valentino, I don't think there's much else to talk about it here, guys. If you guys
Yeah.
got any good good takes on this, drop a comment in the post, and I guess maybe we'll see from there. Maybe inside the distance, maybe take an over under. Maybe that's the way to go. But the main event, this is what you guys have been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for. This is going to be a banger. Jay, how excited are you for this fight?
I'm eager. It's gonna be one of the better fights for sure.
Yeah,
Alex Perez's game, man. He's shown that he's game. He's got
he's
what it
good.
takes to be a legit contender.
Did you
And
see these guys at weigh-ins?
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Davison,
Figueiredo's a character, man. He's funny.
yeah. And I think one thing to note that I hear Davison's having a much better time and cutting weight, which is
He
pretty huge
is.
for him.
He looked incredible on the scale, man. He didn't look drained like normal. He looked like he had energy. Dude, he's got like a 10 pack. I mean, man, he looked ready for this fight. And I think he looked better than he did against Joseph Benavidez. And if that's an indicator of anything, Benavidez beat Perez. Again, MMA math does not work, but I think Benavidez knocked out Perez. Is that correct?
Yes, he did. He did with a punch.
Yeah, and that's Benavidez doesn't have that type of man. Figueiredo for a 125er, man, has some insane power. He's got like Henry Cejudo, right? When he was moving up weight divisions, knocking people out. Figueiredo, man, that power for his division. And that's setting aside his jiu-jitsu too. He comes from a jiu-jitsu background. He's just so well-rounded.
He's gifted. He just has it.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I mean, you see guys like Patricia Pitbull, who they can knock out guys like Michael Chandler. He's much bigger than him.
Yeah.
Davison has that power too. He's special. He's
For
definitely
sure.
special.
I think something that's going to be interesting in this fight. I think Figueiredo is going to very handedly take those first couple of rounds. I am curious to see if Perez survives that, what he's going to do with the later rounds, because Figueiredo may have problems with the gas tank. We still haven't seen him in those championship rounds. He took out Benavidez very quickly in both those rounds. I think Figueiredo has that power, but maybe not the most skilled on the feet overall. And Perez is very well rounded, so you're saying he is game. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, I don't see how Perez is going to try and strike with Figueiredo. That should be the dumbest thing to do. I imagine he's going to really try and take it to the fence and really try and take down Figueiredo.
Just grind it up against the cage.
And I think he can. I think he definitely can take down Figueiredo. I mean, Figueiredo's shown he can get taken down against guys like Jussier, and kind of have a hard time with that. But man, it's hard for guys to hold him down. He gets back up and he comes forward.
Yeah, man, he's.
And those are in 3-round fights. This is a 5-round fight. And I've seen Alex Perez go for takedowns consistently throughout a fight and then get tired at the end of that second and third round. So, I mean, if Alex Perez does go for those takedowns, get those takedowns, but then Figueiredo gets back up and comes charging forward and Alex Perez is tired.
And his hands are scary nowadays. The way he throws, any one of those can put guys out. But, I do think Perez has a pretty good chin. So this is weird. It's kind of controversial because he got knocked out by Benavidez. But other than that, he's pretty good. It was ground and pound, so it wasn't necessarily like that one punch knockout. I think it was a strike led it into the ground and pound is what eventually happened. That was in the Ultimate Fighter, right? And we know Benavidez back then, that was 2018. He's probably different than he is now. After these 2 losses to Figueiredo, he's never going to be the same fighter. I could see this one lasting a couple rounds, and honestly, I think the over might be the way to go in this one, and I think that's going to be an unpopular opinion.
The over how many rounds do you think?
I think it's 2.5 is what it's set at, but here's the thing. I don't know what book you guys use, things like that. I'm on Bovada. In Bovada, you can bet round props. You can take it over any amount of rounds. Guys, some of these fights, if you know it's going to go over a single round, take 2 of them, put them together, get even money on 2 fights, just go over 1 round. I think Figueiredo is good. I think, what he did to Benavidez was insane. I don't think he's just going to come out and knock out Perez like that this time. I think this is going to be a little more grindy. I could see it probably going a few rounds. And I think it's going to be a scrap. I really do. I don't see that early finish happening this time around, I think.
Yeah, I don't see early finish. I mean, Perez is really slick. I see him coming out with that natural wrestling boxing style where he really threatens the takedown, and I think Figueiredo is going to be backing up against the fence. And I think Figueiredo is going to be defending for a little while. I really think Alex Perez is going to make this dirty for a couple rounds. But the question is, I just doubt that he could do that for a 5-round fight against this monster, you know? So
I gotta say, this might be giving away some of my bets a little bit, man. Actually, that's not true. I gave you guys a bet earlier this week with Figueiredo in it and Kosuke and some early bets. I had a Dana White Contender Series bet with JP Bice. He's a monster, man. I don't know if you watched Contender Series this week. He's an absolute freak. Did really good. Then AJ McKee, talk about that submission in Bellator, insane. And then the last pick is going to be Figueiredo, I'm going to say. And I posted that earlier this week. I think Figueiredo is going to get it done.
I predict a knockout in the 3rd or 4th round when Alex Perez gets tired. When he gets tired of trying to put this guy down on his back. So
yeah.
And I just don't see him having anything on the feet. Don't get me wrong, his boxing's good, but it's not anywhere near the level of Figueiredo. So
yeah, man. All right, so let's close with this. What are your favorite picks for the night, do you think?
My favorite picks?
Yeah.
I would say my most confident pick is Luis Kosuke, Kyle Dawkins, D-Rod. I really like my favorite. I think I'm going to be most excited for is having Brandon, watching Brandon hopefully beat Brandon Royval. I think that's going to be one of my favorite fights to watch. I don't have any money on that, because I mainly just want to. It's going to be really close. Lines are really, close, but I definitely want to, see that fight happen. I'm excited.
Guys, sometimes you guys are attached to a fighter. Best thing to do is just stay off of it. Especially if you think you might have a hot take, then you talk with your peers, talk to other guys know that we're talking about. Maybe they can bring it down a little bit, maybe show you how more of an even fight it is, even though you want one guy to win really badly. I was just talking about this today with some of my buddies. They were like, hey, McGregor versus Poirier. And I'm like, I'm biased. I'm not even going to talk about that fight. But yeah, man, I got to agree. Kosuke should get it done in dominant fashion. I feel like Figueiredo is going to – I think he's going to put on a mean performance. Some of these fights I would advise staying off of. Juan Craig, man, it's not a good look. Don't just – you're like, oh, who is a live dog? Don't take it. He's so old, man. He's out of it. What else? Shevchenko, Maya. I wouldn't bet either of these girls straight up. I don't think Maya has – she's got like a 2% chance of getting it done, in my opinion. Shevchenko, you can't bet Shevchenko at that line, though. You cannot, in any good conscience, ever bet a line. She's going to close like minus 2,000. That's insane. I guarantee you some schmuck in Vegas is going to bet like $10,000 to win like 500. It's going to be insane. Other fights to stay away from, man. If you guys are on Calvillo, I highly recommend staying off of her money line. I do not like that whatsoever. I think that is a trap line. She's going to close at minus 300 or more, man. And that's not a good look. I can't justify that in any good conscience for any of my followers, any of my guys asking out to me. I do think she wins, but man, that's a steep line to pay for that. So I think we both got some good takes. I think overall, a lot of similar opinions on this. I'm glad we're seeing eye to eye. And man, I'm excited for this fight card.
Yeah, me too. And guys, if you're just looking to gamble and put some money on a guy you like or a girl you like, I think Brandon Royval and Ariane Lipsky might be the guy and girl to pick.
Might be live dogs.
Yeah, it might be live dogs, and just have fun and gamble and not worry about winning or losing. I think those are definitely going to be the most exciting bets if you guys are going to go ahead and bet. So
definitely. Well, you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end so far, obviously we're going to be uploading this. We're recording this on a Friday night. I just got off work. Jay hopped on with me. Real appreciative for making the time, and drop a like, leave a comment, follow each other's pages. I think both what we're doing, both fairly new MMA pages, but they will both blow up over the next couple of months. I'm 100% confident. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got Paul here, PKMA on Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm on YouTube and Instagram at MMA Prophecies. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. All right, peace out, you guys.
Awesome, man. Peace.
All right.